let's go ahead and get to it. Our key takeaways from the Broncos loss to the Las Vegas Raiders here. We're going to start, of course, as I mentioned, 32-31. We're going to start with the good, okay? This was the first touchdown of the game. This is a play that, Ben, you're going to kind of break down. I thought this was a really creative setup, a really creative, putting 4 tight ends out on the field for the Broncos here. I'll let you sort of describe it, and then we'll hear the play.
Yeah, I thought this was. I thought this game, honestly, from Pat Shurmur showcased some flashes of creativity that we're looking forward to seeing, because this isn't something he's ever done before that I've ever seen. Coming in heavy like that, looks like a power set, looks like you got to punch it in. And instead, they go float right with a tight end running to the backside. There's a motion in play, and then Fumagalli will run basically a dig to the backside, be wide open, and Drew delivers him the football. Here's Dave and Rick on the call.
Play fake, Locke rolls to his right, now looks back left, throws the ball, wide open receiver, touchdown Denver. And that is Troy Fumagalli, who was all by himself on the back line of the end zone. Fumagalli's first touchdown reception of the season.
Really great play, and again, what a great design basically by Pat Shurmur there. Put 4 tight ends. You have a couple of tight ends in motion. You go kind of a half boot there from Drew Lock, and then he just kind of hits him wide open in the back of the end zone. And again, you had a couple of nice creative plays. Tim Jenkins pointed out the 2-point conversion they had to Jerry Jeudy, where they had the pick there at the line, and he's just standing wide open. He had to kind of bat it down to himself because the ball was a little high. But there was some really great play calls in there, and I think a lot of that, for me, shows more of the confidence Pat Shurmur is having in Drew Lock and in the offense.
I think the other part of this is everybody who says Drew Lock doesn't go through progressions can sit down now. Because you saw a lot of that over the course of this game, and this is just another great example of that play where a guy runs through his progressions real quick and winds up. And he uses his eyes to hold the defense, too. With the quarter boot and his eyes, holds the defense one way so his tight end gets open in the back and then fires it to him. It's just a great play all the way around. Well-designed, well-drawn up, and well-executed.
All right, I'm next here. I'm going to talk about the day that Tyree Cleveland had. This was like Mr. Third Down for a minute there. They were like 3rd and long, and they were looking for Tyree Cleveland, and he came through in a big way. So I'm going to play one of the highlights here, the 16-yard completion. We'll talk about it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Tyree Cleveland.
Raiders stand up, 5 men at the line of scrimmage. They rush 4. Lock in the pocket, throws an in route that is caught right at the 40-yard line, and that is Tyree Cleveland again, who gets up, cradles the football in his right hand, signals first down in his left hand.
So you had a completion for 17 yards earlier in the game on a corner route. That was on an in route. And again, Tim Jenkins did a great job. He's going to break it down in his video. But he did a great job basically looking off what was a cover 1 that turned into a Tampa 2. And it was a great play. It was a great throw. And is there maybe a sense here that Tyree Cleveland could replace a bit of what Tim Patrick represents for this team next year?
Long term, I think so. I think that the decision in terms of where to tender people, that's the most interesting one. Do you tender Tim Patrick at a second-round tender only to have him be probably your wide receiver 3 or 4 next year? How much of that does Tyree Cleveland pick up the slack on? Tim Patrick caught, 50-something balls this year, didn't drop a 1.
Not one.
That's pretty impressive. I think that overall, you got a tough decision. That's the first decision a general manager coming in is going to have to make. What am I tendering Tim Patrick at? A guy who's filled in very admirably for Cortland Sutton, but in the end is probably wide receiver 3 or 4 on this team next year. What do you do with that?
Yeah, it's around $3.3 million, a little bit under that, and you can't do original tender because that
somebody will pick him up. Somebody will sign him to a deal,
and then you'd have to basically match or he'd leave, and which was going to be the case anyways. But at least a second round tender, you have right to match. You maybe get something back if somebody takes him, and somebody won't take him for a second rounder at that point. You bring him back. You know that he offers incredible depth for your wide receiver group. And once again, if you have another injury, if say Jerry Jeudy gets hurt or something like that, you'll have Tim Patrick opposite Cortland Sutton, which isn't such a bad deal.
Right. But I think Tyree Cleveland's the longer-term answer there. So
All right, let's get to another guy that is a long-term answer, hopefully. That's Justin Simmons. And he came up with right place, right time kind of interception. It was more about what Derek Carr did, the placement of the ball, and kind of put a little high and outside for Darren Waller. But great play by Justin Simmons, who just had an unbelievable year.
Yeah, you talk about a guy who could have checked out at any point once the season was over, and instead stuck it out. He's made, I don't remember, 3,500 consecutive snaps that the guys made. He's an Iron Man warrior out there. But yeah, right place, right time. Derek Carr made a bad throw. Waller tipped it up, and Justin, as he does, has a knack and a nose for the football and picks it off here.
Four-man rush. Carr in the pocket, steps up, now throws a ball too high and picked off. Justin Simmons has it on the deflection on the miss of Darren Waller, and the Broncos have a first down at the Raider 37-yard line. For Justin Simmons, his 5th interception of the season, 16th of his career, second turnover by the Broncos defense today.
And they ended up with 4 turnovers, and we're going to get to another one here in just a second. Kareem Jackson had an interception. The Kareem Jackson interception was great. They baited Derek Carr into that throw to Aguilar. It was a great play by Kareem Jackson. But this one, Justin Simmons, and this is the thing we said this last year, because you remember when they started out the season without any sacks or turnovers, said, sometimes they come in bunches. Well, for this team, specifically this year, with one of the worst turnover rates in the league, the worst turnover margin in the league, they came in bunches. They got 4 turnovers in one game. They ended up +4. They still lost the game, which is obviously a bummer, and usually that doesn't happen. But in this case, the defense completely stripped down. You're missing 8 starters, and you get 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
You give up 32 points. Sure, that is certainly not something you're going to hang your hat on, but you got 4 turnovers missing 8 starters. That's kind of impressive to me.
Yeah, I thought it was across the board. I thought that defense played hard. They were out there doing their best. You had Parnell Motley, a practice squad guy, starting at corner. You were down to, corner 6, 8, and 9 on the season, I think, were out there playing ball. You're without 8 starters, and they go out there and do that. I thought it was just a gutsy performance by the defense. They were clearly gassed at the end, but what a gutsy performance.